Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. I hope you are safe and well. It's time for another live stream because it is Sunday night. Now, what a week it has been. It has been, I've said it has been twice, one of the most crazy week and a halves I can remember in a very long time. But it's all good. But man, has there been some controversy. And oh, did I cause an upset with some people saying, does DJI really matter anymore? And we're going to talk about that first of all. But before we do that, we're going to hop into the chat and say hello to all of you lovely people who are over there. So, who was in first? Dennis. Hello, Dennis, Isaac, William, Expander, Floor, Flyer, how are you, my friend? Dennis again. GMI, thank you, GMI, for your Patreon pledge earlier. A massive thank you from me. I need to send you a message as well as a couple of other people who've hopped on board too. TS13FPV, nice name, I like that. Welcome. Free Range Chicken FPV, good evening. JE5E, how are you? Dronoid, Drone 3 Droid, how are you? Bruce, as always, it is a pleasure to have you here. Snapdragon Drones, Chris Whitehead, make sure I'm not missing anyone out. Drone Dude, good evening. William Tam, hello. Scampers, good evening, good evening, good evening. The Snapshot Drones, Chris Croft. Ooh, Isaac. Isaac in there very early with a super chat. Thank you, my friend. $2. I appreciate what you do. Thank you, sir. I appreciate you as well, my friend. From the land of the godforsaken, Lewis, how are you? Oh, the computer's just woken up and made the sound effect. Mike Bergman, hello, my friend. Good evening, Macvision 3D. Potra, hello, 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 hello. Good evening, little one-on-one. Dirty McSkinny, Carl, and Ivan Hygen. Going to fix flying, but dropping for a bit. Hello, good, good, good. So, how is everyone? I hope you are well. So, tonight we're going to talk a bit more about the controversy. I'm going to try and, there seems to be something I've noticed on a couple of streams. I think we've had a bit of an overload of Fat Shark news. And I'm going to echo, I think, some of JB's comments on this now, which is we're not going to know anything anytime soon, but I am going to talk about that a little bit because I've been doing a lot of research in the background. And as JB actually mentioned, there's going to be an AMA on... my brain has gone. It'll come back to me in a second. There's going to be an AMA next weekend, okay? We're going to be doing that. I forgot the name of the platform. My brain is just... I keep getting Discord. Discord is in my head, but it isn't Discord. It's on Reddit. We're going to be doing an AMA on Reddit. It's been a real interesting week because there has been so much strange info going around. It's bizarre, frankly, but we'll talk a bit about that. And we'll take a look at some new stuff from HDZero. This isn't going to be the review, but we do have the new VRX module and the new Whoop board. Now, for those who hopped on a test live stream I did a couple of days ago, they might have seen that, but we will talk about that tonight as well. And I'm going to talk a bit more about what we've been doing in the background, uploading more stuff on HDZero onto repair.wiki. But as always, answering any questions you may have along the way as well. Now, I've got myself a drink tonight. I'm drinking this. If anyone can guess what it is, I've got nothing to give you, but if you can guess what it is, I'll shout your name out. There you go. There's a win. It is rather clear, a little bit refreshing. It's not water. It contains 5% alcohol. I can promise you that. I've run out of beer, so I'm down to something else. It isn't a Bacardi. It looks like lemonade. No, what I have tonight... Oh, there we go. That's quite a bit of gin for one night. It is a G&T. I do like a little bit of a G&T now and again. And it's actually from a can. It's a ready mixed one. They had them on offer at a local Tesco's shop. And it's just a ready to mix, ready to go. And it's actually very, very nice. It really is very, very nice. Diet tonic as well. I didn't have any lemon. I think I'm the lemon in this gin and tonic, Bruce. I think we all know that. So, okay. The first thing we're going to talk about is DJI relevant anymore? And we'll talk about that in the first subject. But as we're going through, guys, if you do have any questions, please do let me know. Now, I'm going to get started by doing a little bit of shilling because I want to get that out the way. And that is, if you are new here, welcome. If you are new, please do consider giving us a like. If not, hit the subscribe button. If you want to support the channel, there are links to my Patreon as well as Buy Me a Coffee in the description. Today, I've even found my Patreon page. Look, I can put it on the screen. There's my Patreon page. And we've had a mass uptake on this in the last couple of weeks. So I just want to say a massive, massive thank you to everyone who has been supporting the channel on Patreon and everyone who has. I am going to be doing a lot more on Patreon in the sense of, and I want to explain this because I got some strange comments. I've been really bad at managing or looking after the Patreon supporters. So I basically treated them the same as anyone else in the sense of I thank you for everything you do. But I didn't really do any dedicated Patreon content. But I am going to be doing it moving forward. Now, I understand some people might not like that. This content isn't really going to be stuff I'm only going to put behind a paywall. Most of what will go on there at some point might make the real channel. But what I want to do is there's going to be something called Mads Tech After Hours. And let me just find that, which I'm going to film once a week as a sort of second live stream, just expressing some thoughts that I wouldn't necessarily express on air, or going into a bit more depth on things that I have done on air. Here is the there it is. It's called Mads Tech After Hours, and it is going to be on Patreon only. They won't be going on the main channel, these. And again, the After Hours is going to be just a bit more expanding on what I've been doing and what I've been talking about. And then the plan is some of the videos I put out will go on Patreon before they go on to the live YouTube channel and stuff like that. But the plan isn't to only hide stuff behind Patreon. There may be some Patreon-only stuff, but the idea of it is just to try and give those guys some value, because there's been some amazing people who've supported the channel on Patreon for a long time, and I've not really appreciated them. So I want to start doing that. Now, I understand I've had a few people message going, well, you're going to put stuff on behind a paywall. That's not very fair. Well, it's a catch-22. You can't win in this. You can't, you have to look after people. So I'm going to apologize to the Patreons so far that I've really not done anything good. But if you're interested, please do put it there. Last week, I filmed the after hours straight after doing the live stream. I probably won't do that tonight. I'll do the after hours tomorrow. And we will then start putting up some videos on the Patreon only stuff earlier as well. So that's the idea of it. That's what it's about. But just a massive thank you to everyone who's supported via Buy Me a Coffee as well. If anyone has donated via Buy Me a Coffee, there's been some substantial ones, and you want to see one or two of these accessories, send me a link. I'll send it over to you, because you are also supporting the channel as well. Which means the money is a non-taxable gift rather than taxable income. Oh, Bruce, I see what you do. I'm going to try and do something, but I may even put some of this stuff live. The idea is to try and drive me into doing more content as well. That's the idea of it. So, okay, the first conversation, and I probably should have the product in hand for this one. Let me get the bag off its head. And that is DJI still relevant? Now, I put out a video this week talking about the new look on the HDZero goggles that's coming, and some more on the Walksnail, fat shark, fat snail, walk, fat shark, snail thing. And I also said, is DJI still relevant in all of this? And my point to that wasn't really taken. Now, I'm going to have to take the blame for that, for not making the point clear enough. I'm going to put my desk up a little bit, just so you can see the goggles when I rest them on the side. And my point in that was this. We have had only 1.5 options initially. So HDZero was a bit slow out the door, but DJI was the first. And then we got DJI and they pushed it forward. But let's be realistic about DJI for one moment. They deliver a fantastic product that works extremely well, but it is DJI's way or the highway. And what I mean by that is they give you the product with their feature set, with their capabilities, no negotiation. So you must activate it out the door, which I don't see a problem with. However, others do. When they first brought this system out, they introduced their own proprietary RC protocol, which was DJI HDL. They instigated an OSD setup which made sense but wasn't compatible with anything else as well. So you have to take into account DJI have a habit of doing things their way. Now, the benefit you get is the best turnkey solution that there is in FPV. Without doubt. I'm not sitting here and saying DJI isn't very good. But my point in this is this. If a company such as Walksnail can deliver a product which is as good as this, okay, with proper OSD and maybe a couple of other bells and whistles, that 1080p, it's not a deal breaker for me, 1080p, but it would be nice. But if they can, DJI being in FPV is less important, because whilst DJI may still bring a great product, there is no guarantee the next product is not going to have all of the same issues, all of the same problems, and all of the same bugs, and all of the same other issues. So my point is, in many ways, if Walksnail do what they say they're going to do, and that's if, and I am being very careful, if they do, it really doesn't matter what DJI do, because you don't have to go that route. You can choose something else. And that's my point. And the point is, DJI is not a friend of the FPV community. They've, look, if we look at this realistic, we had to force them as a community to fix the bugs on the V2. I had to make a video that said, do not buy, before they fixed the V2 issues. They did reach out to me, and I've had a support and help with them in the past. I used to help them a lot. But you have to sort of force them into a corner. And that is why That is because they are the size they are. They have over 11,000 employees in multiple offices across the world. So DJI is always going to be DJI. And that's the point I'm trying to make with this. For FPV, they may not be the most important thing if someone else can deliver what they've done already. And that's what my point was. Will DJI bring a new system? Yes, but it will still be DJI. They still will have their quirks. They still will do it the way they want to do it. You know, okay, if we look at this today, there are still many bugs that haven't been fixed. It still has many issues yet to be resolved. There's been no real feedback for the community. You know, here's a bet. I would bet that any future system, they do certain things their way. So OSD, I wouldn't be shocked if they did it their way and not the way of Betaflight, iNav, and others. So you've got to take these things into account. They are, I've always said this, they are not anybody's friend. They are a very big corporate entity that do what they want. And if Walksnail can deliver and they do talk to the community, look, you know, if we look at what they've said already they've said they're going to try and make a whoop board. They're going to look at ready to fly quads, and we've already got a smaller single board solution. They've done more before it's released than DJI has in many ways. Now, they haven't got it out, and it doesn't work. And the reality is, using the word vaporware for it isn't quite right because it technically exists, but it's certainly very alpha. Certainly very alpha right now. So that's my point on this. It isn't that I expect everyone to run out and buy a new system because, you know, if you've got 5 Vistas, well, are they important? The point I always try to make with this is this. DJI will end this system. Be under no illusion they will walk away from this system at some point. That is how they operate. That is how they do things. I have been around DJI since 2013. I've been on their Ready to Fly side. I help them run their Facebook groups. I know how they operate. Be under no illusion that they will at some point go, you know what, that's old. We're not doing that anymore. We're walking away. That's done. That just is how they are. So if someone else can come in, listen to the community and sort of go, well, actually, no, we want to support this for, say, 5, 6, 7, 8 years, then there is a real potential for, no matter what DJI do, the FPV community to just say, you know what, that's nice. What you've done is nice, but we're going to go here instead. And that's what my point is. Just going to catch up on the chat a minute. Fat Shark has pigeonholed themselves with the Walksnail thing, issuing statements on what would happen if they get sued. Software is Holland. They've also said it isn't. So, Walksnail. So, Flapground FPV has said, Fat Shark has pigeonholed themselves in with Walksnail thing, and Walksnail is issuing statements on what would happen if they get sued. Yes and no. But Walksnail have also said there is no DJI chipset and no code. So that's a very matter-of-fact statement that will be proven either way when we know. Expander, no stubbies on the goggles. No, I run the full size on the top. I do have stubbies up there, but I don't bother. I run the full sizes. Just slightly better performance on the V1s. Tillerman Herberna, I think that's how you say it. Right, I need to address this DJI compatible thing as well. Okay, so why are Walksnail not making it compatible with DJI? Can someone hack it to make it compatible with DJI? Okay, if we take what they're saying as correct, and if that is reality, then it is not the DJI system. It will not work with the DJI system. It may look and feel like it, but it isn't it. If what they're saying is true, and that's an if, it isn't DJI. So no matter that it's got the same menu options, no matter that the overall behavior is the same, it is not DJI. There are some fundamental differences here between the systems. It's H.265. It may be an entirely different chipset. It may be an entirely different core. There is a lot of potential difference here. just because you see two red cars doesn't mean they're made by the same manufacturer, even though they may look the same. And that's, you know, the look and feel could be a giant red herring here. It could be like difference between DJI and HDZero in difference in how it works. We don't know yet. Now, I do know Junus has been talking to Chris Rosser. Someone mentioned it. I haven't finished watching it. I talked to Junus quite a lot in the background. He's a fantastic guy. He was the one that helped me with that thing I put out on the P1. We have quite a good understanding of what DJI is doing. We just don't have a full understanding of what Walksnail is doing yet. That's the reality. And we will. But I think it's worth a point now of, as JB said, we're not going to hear much for a while, because until we get firmware, until we see images, or until someone gets this in hand, we just don't know. And that's probably going to be the case for at least 3 to 4 weeks minimum. If you take into account they're saying launches in 6 weeks from now, within a couple of days of that, we will know something. Someone's going to pull the lid off and show us a picture, but we need more than that. We need the firmware. Once we've got the firmware, we'll understand more. We don't even know. Here's an interesting point. We don't even know how the firmware is installed on these goggles. $1080p is going to be limited. It's going to have to be beta, Bruce, because that's alpha today. I wouldn't even class that as beta right now. Beta should be fully functional, but looking for bugs. In my eyes, is what beta should be. So that's alpha right now. That's real alpha. ICOM, just going back up the chat a minute. We will all still buy the next generation of FPV DJI? Yeah, we might. We very well might. We very well might. Let me just go. I found no specific country with goggles. GMI of stubbies. Definitely not as good as distance. Yeah, the stubbies don't think. Yes, but that doesn't. But there's a bit more to it than that. It's like saying Skoda and Audi or Skoda and VW. This could literally be BMW and Mercedes. We don't know. We have to be careful. It's really easy to get caught up in how this system looks. They're saying it's been made to look exactly the same as DJI. So it could just be in a dress. It's had a facelift and it's in a dress, but it doesn't mean it's the same person underneath. And that's the thing to take into account. So all of these comments about why isn't it DJI compatible? Because A, it isn't DJI. It may be fundamentally different from DJI. And actually, making it compatible with DJI would then sort of end up in the legal dodgy territory, to be honest. I'm locked into DJI current FPV. I've updated all my quads over from analog. Yeah, 100%. Numbskull SPV, and many people will be. And look, my comment on DJI not being relevant is that moving forward, because look, they're not gonna. I don't believe they're going to do anything dramatic with the V2s now. You're not going to see too much, although we think there's going to be a firmware update, which is interesting. But I'm not expecting to see 10 more VTXs turn up, a Whoop VTX or anything else like that. You know, the DJI system is what you've got today is what you should expect. If DJI do something, I can tell you now it has been caused by Walksnail. That's the only good thing that could come out of this, is you may see DJI put effort back in now there's another player. They clearly haven't had it till now. A lot cheaper units of Vistas on the second-hand market. Good times for everyone. Yeah. And look, let's be realistic. This FPV system may not be good for 6+ months. 6+ months. It really could. ZPV, hello from Zambia. Hello, my friend. What's your opinion about the Sky Zones, how they should react to Digi stuff? Should they go into this way? If they do nothing, they could stay at the end. Okay, Sky Zone is an interesting point. And actually, my review of my O4Xs is going up Tuesday. Might even put it live tomorrow. In many ways, I'm not happy with the video now because it's been filmed before all of this, and I would love to have talked about this bit as part of it, but it was filmed a couple of weeks ago, and it's just been in edit and stuff like this. I could go back and bolt a bit on it, but it's already too long. So I don't know what to do on that. I think Sky Zone is interesting, and I have to be careful what I say here. You have seen a set of goggles shown and announced by HDZero that are made by HDZero. There has been quiet whispers that Sky Zone were making those goggles, but they're clearly not. So could Sky Zone be making something else? Who knows? What I do know about Sky Zone is I think they will go where the market is. So if there's a market for HDZero, I can see them making HDZero goggles. If there's a market for Walksnail goggles, I can see them doing that as well. The O4Xs are a very, very good goggle, and I actually say in the review, they are the best option for analog and digital HDZero today. No, I've got no idea whether to go DJI, Factor, or HDZero. I'm going to wait. TS13 FPV, I would echo JB's thoughts on that. I would wait. Right now, if you can wait. If you can get yourself a cracking deal on something, then don't miss it. If you think you'll be happy with DJI as it is today and you can get a great deal on it, go for it. But I would advise buy what you need for a little bit as well, just in case to cover yourself. Could be okay. Walksnail could be a long way. I had heard a whisper we won't see Walksnail availability until the end of the year, and that's been backed up by a dealer. I've been given 2 timescales on the Walksnail system, not Fat Shark, not the Dominator, but the Walksnail. Okay, because remember they're both listed separately. So the time frame I've heard on the Walksnail system is July to end of the year. It will not launch at the same time as the Fat Shark goggles. Something to understand is that date that Fat Shark has given is for their goggles, not Walksnail. So anyone who's done the Walksnail pre-orders, it will be the Fat Sharks that go out the door first. I don't think Walksnail... That's a very good point. Ezalu, he says, I don't think Fat Shark will allow Walksnail to work with Sky Zone. That is a really good point. That really is. But do they have a say in it, as Bruce has said? Likely have the same pilot position interference problems as DJI. Yes, it will. So it's essentially the same TDMA tech. Yeah. Solar goggles were like you just trying. Yeah. The one thing I will say is this. So whilst it may not be the same chipsets and it may not be the same code, it has the same inherent behavior as DJI. You know, DJI did things a certain way. That isn't specific to DJI. It's very much the way that OFDM H.264 compression works, two-way link with packet retries. Anyone who does that, it will basically look the same. There is some special sauce in DJI, which is that focus mode, which just pushes all the bitrate to the center of the image, but that's all software. You know, it will all look the same and have all of the same quirks and behaviors. There will be nothing magical. Now, what will be interesting is how they've got past the 13-kilometer block, if they've got past it. But we haven't even seen range tests on Walksnail yet. I would guess there'd be a no compete for early days. Yes, they have actually asked the community, some Mr. Huggy, Walksnail, asked the community, would you like to see a VRX module? So let me hop over to their page a minute. They have gone out and asked the community, what do you want to see? And this is the real cool things. You know, they are making all the right sounds. And look, someone said to me the other day, oh, your opinion has completely changed. It hasn't. We don't have a product yet. If it's acquired, borrowed, begged, or stolen, then I will be the first to shout it from the rooftop. However, also we have to step back and look at the reality here a little bit. Yes, 1S VTX, and I'm going to put it up on screen now. So here we go. Okay, so they've asked about this. So this post says at the top here, new systems not compatible with current DJI products, but might release the HD VRX compatible module for our Fatshock Skyzone eMachine analog goggle in our later version. Let me know if you need this and we can make it happen if they're well demanded. Other good ideas, please feel free to leave comments. So they're saying if there is demand, they will make this. That is good. We've then got this other announcement with Flyroo, where there's a little hex. I missed this was a hex. Which is down here, look. It's got some extra pops down here, but they're talking drone will land soon. And they were also talking about 1S as well. I can't think of where it was. If I search the page, I think there was a comment. They did write it in here, I think. But they've definitely spoke about 1S as well. If Walksnail do a standalone VRX, put it in HC. It's all closed. You know, it's all closed source. But so catching back on the chat, I'd tell you. Yeah, I tell you, so I said that in my other video, Franco. Is it relevant to buy the Fatshock Scout HD now? If you're looking to buy it for HDZero, it's a good goggle. But the HDZero goggle is going to be the best. But you're not going to see the HDZero goggle till July, August, September time, by the time it hits through alpha and beta. Carl is hoping to get it in people's testers' hands July, and then it's going to be about October for general availability. So it's a while off. Could do a lot of flying with HDZero in that time. Did Walksnale mention anything about 1S? Definitely about 1S. I'm afraid that DJI will sue Walksnale. I'm not convinced they can. What can DJI sue them for? If it's... Look, this whole thing on it's DJI is only because it looks like it. If it's different chipsets and different code, there's nothing DJI can do. DJI has been out for almost 3 years. Someone was bound to catch up at one point. Someone was. It may be the same way DJI works, but the thing to almost get with DJI is it's not their technology anyway. We know that now. Just like DJI uses chipsets. You know, saying they're going to get sued by DJI is like saying, well, DJI are going to sue Autel for using their HD video system. There are other HD video systems out there. There are lots of HD video systems out there. None of them have quite got to the latency that DJI has, but it is nothing magical. It is nothing no one else can do without time and money. That's the reality of this. Right, the goggles, Jamie, Geeksvana, things start with poor information, misinformation, statements get withdrawn, minutes reproduced. So, minutes really produce them. No, Sean makes a good point. There has been a lot of scary noise around this. So Sean has said that starts with poor information, misinformation, and statements that get withdrawn in a minute. Really produce an amazing product. He is quite right. There is all of the noises of this being a total crap show. All of the noises. Do we really know it's not DJI? No, we don't. But they have categorically said it isn't. So if it is, they're lying. And they know how fast we turned over their website as a community. In under 2 hours, we had, as a community, literally ripped them apart. If it is DJI technology, even if the chipset's the same, mind, doesn't mean that's DJI, because that chipset basically isn't DJI. It's just a chipset. You know, if you look inside a DJI drone, right, there are STM32s, there are chipsets for the object avoidance sensors, there are chipsets for the battery controller, TI chipsets. These aren't DJI. They're off-the-shelf chipsets that DJI use to make their product. When you actually dig into what DJI is very good at, is taking a bunch of other components by other manufacturers, bringing them together to make a tightly integrated product with their software. And that is very much what OcuSync is again. So the chipset is less important here. The real important is the software. Because the chipset is just an ASIC with some ARM cores, with an SDR, and some code. That's all it really is. This is nothing magical. All digital companies submit VRX modules and the goggle company. Sure. I reckon some licensing agreement between Caddis, Walksnail, and DJI. I've been told that categorically isn't the case, but who knows? IPD 7072 DJI Factory won't work for me too well. Hex. If Walksnail do a standalone VRX and put it on HDZero goggles, and HDZero goggles are kind of open to the community, if not, close out DJI. HDZero goggles are king of the open source community. Yeah, there's a lot of talk around that, and we'll talk about that a bit in a minute. Has DJI ever replied to this? Love it, OcuSync. DJI have said nothing, but they don't often talk. Locked into a brand. Yeah, it's all closed source. You know, there's nothing open source here. By one of their developers. It was just before this. Yeah, that's an interesting one, Mr. Harry. There has been a lot of source code out there. Bruce, I wish I knew how these companies were getting their components so cheap. The cost of such devices amongst DJI is ridiculous. Yeah, this is the thing. You know, if you look inside a Mavic or a Mavic Mini or any of these, there is very little specific. It's all off the shelf. I saw Elijah. How far behind are Orca likely to be now? The 4th HG system, a bit late to the game. That is a very, very interesting comment. And whilst I was happy enough to say, does DJI matter anymore? Frankly, it is over for Orca, in my opinion. I don't see how they can even begin to make an impact, bearing in mind they have already ring-fenced themselves into a corner in some of their discussions already. Now, I'm going to be clear, because this is a really interesting subject, okay? So Orca makes some really good FPV goggles. I really like what they've done. They weren't my favorite, but they are very, very good. What Orca showed us at their conference was some glass cabinet with 3 metal boxes in it. What we know is they're working on that system, but they've also told us some stuff already, power outputs, and they made a big fuss about them following the rules and being compliant with legislation. And if all of these companies followed the rules like they did, then XXXXS. Now, the reality is this. They will be penalized for doing that. Now, they may not have a choice, but the real simple reality is this. If you have DJI with an ear unit that can do over a watt, you have Walksnale with an ear unit that can do 700 milliwatts plus, and you have HDZero with a 1 watt VTX, and Orca are coming in at 200 milliwatt, it's not going to cut it. I'm not saying I fly illegally, I'm not saying other people do, but let's be realistic here. For Orca to get traction on that, they are already handicapped. And the 4th system on the market. So, how are they going to do it? And I don't know. I don't know what the answer is for Orca. I'll be honest, they have taken too long on this. They have taken too long, and it's just going to be impossible. And this really does remind me of the digital mirrorless camera market, okay? I've been using cameras for a very long time, and everything was DSLRs. You had Sony and Panasonic push in the early days to mirrorless. They weren't very good because they weren't using good chipsets, and it was hard to get the focusing sensor. For those who don't understand, a DSLR has a separate sensor for focus. Okay, so they use a separate chip to measure focus. So the mirror flips up, shows that chip to the lens, which then allows it to focus. That's why DSLRs have much better focus performance generally until Sony came along. And in the early days, it was very much, yes, mirrorless were okay, but they just couldn't keep up. But there were two manufacturers who got in very, very early. Sony and Panasonic. And whilst the early products weren't very good, they kept plugging away, and now they are market leaders in mirrorless. Canon, Nikon, all of the others have played catch up, and they make some very good products, but Sony especially has stolen the market. And that is because they went in early, they had the pain, but they delivered a product. And that is the case for HDZero. That is the case for DJI. That may be the case for Walksnail somewhat. But the longer Orca sit on the side, the longer it will take them to even catch up, because they're at ground zero. Part of me thinks Orca may be develop the best performing system. I'm not convinced. I'll be honest, I'm not convinced. Can Orca integrate HDZero and Walksnail into one goggle? That's a hell of a goggle. Is to go with HDZero. Yeah, I think you're right. Actually, so who was it who said that? They did suggest 2.4 gigs, but that was on a specific one. But others can do it. DJI could do 2.4 tomorrow if they wanted to. They just chose not to. Orca can make their money in the military side of things. So from a consumer point of view, they may not be relevant, but at the end of the day, they can make an awful lot of money bringing a product for military use in Europe. That is where their money is. Did they say in Chris Ross's interview that it wasn't using an ASIC? Who's that now? Chris, who wasn't using an ASIC? What happened to the Clearview? Sorry, just arrived. Ramdonko. There is something to take into account with Walksnail. Or OpenHD isn't using a custom ASIC, no. There is something interesting to take into account with Walksnail. They have a lot of contacts. They are cadecs. They are in China. They are a heavily established part of FPV. I would not be shocked to see this system propagate very, very quickly. Simply because of the contacts Cadex has. Now, that doesn't mean it's the best system, but what you have to take into account is they can really leverage all of their expertise in manufacturing cheap. Oh, we lost audio, have we? Looks okay my side. Is it gone? I've got audio. Sorry, Dave, it sounds like it's your side. Could be YouTube. Refresh the page. No, all good. Okay. So they have the potential to really push this among their existing suppliers, because they've got retailers in place. They've got contacts in manufacturing. They've got contacts at wholesale. That really is how DJI was able to push the system out through their existing network. So it could be a bit of a problem for HDZero, that side of it. You know, what Carl has done amazing, and we're going to hop on to HDZero next, I'm going to finish this, is develop the system and get it out there. But what Carl has struggled with is getting the adoption from resellers and manufacturing, because he's never done it before. He doesn't have that background. Cadex only have to be able to make this, or Walksnail, and they can get it into people's hands very, very quickly. So you could see this propagate very, very fast. Just something to share with you, and I don't know if anyone else has said that. Yeah, it's not an ASIC. It's an ASIC, but it isn't. It's easier to use the term ASIC. But here's something I haven't seen posted, but I know this is a fact. Cadex and Walksnail have already reached out to all of their dealers to talk about supplying this and giving them timescales. That has already happened. So every dealer who sells cameras for Cadex have already been contacted and asked about, here, would you like to pre-order this system? It's going to be available on these time frames. This is what you're going to be able to buy. That's how I can tell you the time frames for the Walksnail system, because I have seen what has been said. So they are already banging the drum on this, and they're banging loud. They're banging really, really loud. So do take that into account. We could see this propagate very, very fast across FPV. Not with existing users, but many new people coming in. Even faster than DJI. So I think we'll leave that there. That is enough on Walksnail, Fat Shark, Fat Snail, Walksnail. I don't know what we're going to call them. So we're just going to hop up to the chat before we move on, and we'll talk about HDZero next. Once TBS make... TBS is an interesting one. Where will TBS go? We don't know what that deal is. It's still an ASIC, but it's just not a special ASIC. More regular ARM SoC. Yeah. What it isn't, and I think Jonas, you'll agree with this. What it isn't is some magical chip that you must have to be even able to create a low latency FPV system. What it isn't is some magical custom DJI device that is impossible to replicate. It ain't all that. And that's the point to take with it. It's really not. Being an SoC is not being application specific. Yeah, it's... TBS is an interesting one. Did anyone here end up... I haven't got the new Mambo Gamers. I need to send Trappy a message, actually, because we had a few messages back and forth, and he was going to send me a set, but he's charging me postage, so I can't whinge. It's quite funny. I'm going to send him a message after this, actually. I don't see HDZero working with TBS after Trappy is repeatedly... I don't... Carl won't mind that. If they can get it in TBS, they will. I think they will. Trappy slags everyone off. He's not a bad egg, though. I was watching his live stream the other day. Did anyone watch it? He does make me laugh. I think he needs to be a bit careful about some of his comments about Hong Kong, but he might end up disappearing in a bag somewhere. Okay, let's lose the big three-letter company, shall we? So, we have 217 people here. That is amazing. Before we move on, hello, welcome. Please do consider giving us a like if you've liked this video so far. Please do check out the links in the description. Also, if you want to see your question answered 100%, please do consider the super chat option if you would like to support the channel as well, allowing us to keep making content moving forward. Okay, let me get my screen in the right place. Now, I'm just going to quickly talk about this because there's some stuff I want to show. I made the same comment on Trappy's stream too. He needs to be careful. He'll end up in a bagged and tagged somewhere. 225 at one point. Wow. The spammers. I hope I've got the spammers under control. I have been hit really hard by the spammers. Really hard at the moment. But no. Okay, so let's bring this up. For those who didn't see, I don't spend too much time, I did the video. This is the second design of the HDZero goggles. It's looking really, really good. We've got the now removable fan cover. We've got the menu option, the fan button, countersunk RPS SMAs, not RPSMAs, I should say SMAs, power switch and power input. There has been talk about trying to move these around, but it isn't going to be that easy. You've then got the rail system, and look, you've got a lot underneath here as well. It looks really good. I really quite like this design. I think it's fine. I think it's cool. There's no problems. It's a bit better than the previous design. Not quite so boxy as the original design. But I think it looks good. I think they look very, very good indeed. And that is that's like a pre-release 3D printed demo of the test goggles, just to give you a sizing idea compared to the HDO2s with the VRX on the front. So just to show us a bit, you know, they're not that big. They're really not that big. Obviously, this is just a 3D printed mock-up as well. And then that gives you an idea compared to the size of the Walksnails, which was showed as well. So, yeah, they're smaller than the Walksnails. The Walksnails are quite big. The Fat Shark and Walksnails are surprisingly big. Tell you what, I still can't get away from is this bloody knob here, right? Christ, these look like DJI. These look like DJI's buttons. They really do. I know I've said I don't think the DJI, but I tell you what, even the buttons look identical. But I think that's cool. But what I thought I would share with you is, because the design of this case is going to be open, there are going to be some other designs floating around. And one user has shared this. And this was a design he's been working on, just to show you, of the same goggle, and another design there. This is an external housing version. This should fit all of the PCBs and everything, which has been shared as well. And this is the kind of stuff people have been looking at as well, which is very cool. I don't think production is going to end up like this. I just don't think it's going to happen. The problem is they need to lock production down. If they don't, the goggles will never get made. I personally like this. I'm more than happy with this. And this is the thing. Everything is subjective. 57 Chevy doesn't belong on goggles. Oh, I love that. 57 Chevy doesn't belong on goggles. I think this is quite good. You know, I think this design is fine. There's no problems with it at all. If we go back, this was the original design. So for those who didn't see it, this was what the original design was like. I think that's fine. See, I didn't have a problem with it. Okay, these were too big. But let's just look. What have we got? Head tracker, firmware update port, AV in with deinterlacing, HDMI in, HDMI out. It's either one or the other. Greg, is it? I'm sorry, mate. I'm going to say it. One or the other, you said. No, it isn't. We can have it all if you like. As the Stereophonics once song. You can have it all if you like, and that is with HDZero. We've got our SD card underneath Fat Shark. Are you listening to this? An SD card underneath the goggles. Not in the middle where you've got to put it underneath. And then you've got it with the module bay on the side. But yeah, I was okay with this design, to be honest. I didn't have a problem with that. But yeah, I think the design that's going to get done is that first, that is going to be very close to this now, just because they need to finalize this. They need to get it down. They need to get it locked in place. Otherwise, the product will never get released. So my attitude on this was get it done, lock it down, and sell them. If people don't like the design, they can upgrade in the future when there's a new version with a different casing. Or they can sell the casing separately, or they can do that. What we have to do, though, is get this locked down and get it done, because that's what we need for the community. Yeah, the optics need to be spot on. They've got the bigger field of view now as well, which is good. TL08 Tube. Not unusual for Chinese companies to copy established designs. For example, there's half a dozen Chinese Android phone makers that shamelessly copy Apple. Exactly. And that's the thing. It's easy to get caught in what it looks like. I don't care what they look like on the outside as long as they ain't blurry in the corners on the inside. Yeah, you've got some good people testing these. Hate the module on the side. Remember, there is no built-in analog, so the module on the side is an optional extra that you can choose to fit if you want analog. Those goggles need a cup holder. Madman XFPV. I think DJI might release their Cinewoop with a rebranded Fat Shark Dominator. I would wet myself if that happened. I put a video on JB's forum talking about that earlier. I will wet myself if that happens. Interesting idea. 533 goggles. Ram Donko, are you talking about the... I wonder if we could redesign an analog module case. You could. Yeah, there's technically no reason. Imagine having HDZero for racing, HD Walksnail, and analog all-in-one goggle. That could happen if you had an external module for Walksnail. Redesign an analog module case. Absolutely. About module, can it accept Walksnail VRX? If it's HDMI output, then HDMI input, then yes. Will only be available on his OnlyFans channel due to the YouTube community guidelines. 16:9 native, not 4:3. This is going to be okay for those with... Is this going to be okay for those per 4:3? There's a bit of a payoff, but that is what it is. They have said what the native is. So what Carl said, let me just tell you on the optics. So, he did say, I thought he said, they've redone the optics, which is now going to have better field of view. I can't remember, did he say it in this? No, he hasn't. He said it on the other bit. We need more HD cookies. We need more HD cookies. So, that's what we've got on the goggles. Now, I am going to quickly, guys, show you guys these. So, the first thing we're going to take a look at is this, which is the Whoop Lite VTX kit. And then we'll have a quick look at the VRX module. Which one do you want to see first? I'll let you guys answer the question, actually. Which one do we want to go through first? So, yeah, 46 degrees and 16:9, wasn't it? Which one do you want to see first? 3D printed lens. Whoop Lite, both. Both at the same time. Okay, we had a Whoop Lite first, so let's go with the Whoop Lite. Okay, so I will have a separate video coming on this. But this is the new Whoop Lite kit. So this kit is going to cost $99, and in this box is everything you need. So it has the VTX, the camera, a MIPI cable, and antenna, and all fixings. So for $99, you have the cheapest setup option. If we take the lid, ignore that cable a minute. First thing you'll see is the Whoop Lite VTX over here and the camera. Now, we'll take both of these out first, and I'll zoom the camera in so you guys can see a bit more. 1 second. Here we go. Okay, so we're zoomed in. Okay, so the VTX, as it stands, it comes in a 32.5 by 32.5 with 30 by 30 mounting pattern. It has 25 or 200 milliwatts of output. It has smart audio, And it has a retainable UFL connection with the PCB having a little gap down the side there that you can see for looking through. The shields are not heat sinks on this board. They are removable. They are clipped on either side, but they are removable. They can be added or taken off depending on your application. Now, the effect of that is as follows. The shields weigh about 4 grams. So the VTX, as it stands here with the shielding, in my tests is somewhere between 7 and 8 grams. But if you take the shields off, it's about 4.5 grams. So you can get it down to 4.5 grams without the shields. Someone did just ask, are the shields earthed? Let me check. We will check that for you live on stream now, and then we'll pull the shields off as well. So let's do a test. Okay, you guys can hear the beep, so you'll be able to hear yourself. I have my EEV blog multimeter, for those who haven't seen. So what we'll do is we'll put it here. Okay, we'll flip it over a minute. I'm just going to look for the ground. That's a yes. And a yes. So the shields are grounded. However, they are fully removable. So to do this, you simply gently have a little prise on the side. There's these little clips on the PCB, which I will show you. There we go. And that releases the bottom of the board. And then if I flip it over, give it a gentle move, and then that releases the board itself, which takes the weight down to 4.5 grams. As for why the shields are there, it may be for FCC certification. I don't know, but it also offers protection as well, which isn't a good thing, a bad thing. The board pretty much has everything on the one side. So we've got the 2 chips, the DiviMath chips. We have the MIPI chip, voltage regulation, and the MIPI connector. We have our firmware update port. Now, this is a smaller firmware update port than you get usually on the VTXs. They include an adapter in the box as well for using that. And this board is just simply fantastic. It really is. And it has its RF output over here. Now, alongside this miraculous board is this miraculous camera. This camera is 14 by 16 mil. I think it is. I think it's 14 by 16. It is the same sensor as the Micro V2, and it weighs just 1.5 grams. Literally just 1.5 grams. It's crazy. What's the size of that board? Mounting, 30 by 30 is the mounting. It's not 20 by 20. Let me just grab my vernier to show you. So the board is 32 wide. Actually, no, it might not be 30. I thought I had it in 30 by 30 in my head, but it might not be. Well, that's 25. Ah, she's 25 by 25. Sorry. 25.5 by 25, not 30 by 30. 25.25. Sorry, I had 30 by 30 in my head for some reason. 32.5 on the external and 25 on the board. Sorry, mountain. My brain is going a bit thing. So, 25 is 30 by 30. Yeah, standard root board. I'm doubting myself now. 30 by 30 is 900. I'm losing track. Here's the original Whoop VTX. There you go. It's on the top. It's the same as the original Whoop VTX. So, we have the board. In the rest of the gear, what you get is this little bag, which contains, let me get the antenna out. and the MIPI cable just to show you guys. We have the little MIPI antenna, which is a small whoop style antenna. And you have a short MIPI cable. And it is short, I'll be honest with you. It is very short. That's the MIPI cable there. And that is pretty much it. And you just got the rest of the cables here and everything else. So, the real interesting thing in this, and this is the impressive bit, they are saying this full set you see here, so without the shields, without everything else, comes in at between 7 and 8 grams. So that whole set comes in at just 7 or 8 grams. That is impressive. So it's not, and it is. And that kit is $99. So you will be able to get the VTX on its own. I think the VTX is $54.99. And the camera is $49.99. I weighed them on stream the other day, and the scales, my scales don't do good enough. But that VTX is definitely 4.5. The camera is about 1.5 or 2 on mine. My scales are not accurate enough to measure it. I certainly believe it is that level. I really do. Based on my tests. It is incredible. It really, really is incredible. Camera price seems excessive. $49. I think it's the same tech that's in the bigger cameras. Super short. Yeah, the cable is very short. You know, I don't know what the length is, but if you know that's 32.5. Glad the cable is super short. Yeah, so it really is incredible what they've packed in here. It is a great kit. Now we have to see the feed. Now we have to see the feed. Unfortunately, you'll have to wait for the review on that one. I'm going to say it that way. You're going to have to wait for the review on to see how it looks. Oh, wrong cam. Oh, where are we? There. It's not in the position for that yet. But the review is being done today, this week. Now, just to show, let me put these back in, because I want to put this back in the box nicely in a minute. Just to put these in. The only thing I didn't show you is that firmware update cable board. There's a board that goes from the original size one to the new one. Just in case you want to convert it. But it is nice to see. It is amazing that we've just got a digital setup down to below 10 grams. You've got a full digital setup here below 10 grams. The Mini 3 controller, can it broadcast? Mini 3 controller, can it broadcast? What do you mean broadcast? Remote ID? Being MIPI, the camera could be changed. You could use any of the HDZero cameras. It's not specific to this one. Let me just get that. HDZero is really getting more and more of my point tickets with the goggles coming too if they support analog shit. So, it's really cool. It really is very, very good. And then the shields, they just clip on. You can tell where they go. They've got these little clips on the board, and I do show it in the video. That they just have these little metal clips around the side. That's the wrong way round. But the nice thing is with these little metal clips is 4x3 and 16x9 on the camera. It does both, although it's native 4x3. If it's based on the micro, that's not quite on properly. Tweet wants to know if it's 4x3. 4x3 and 16x9, but it's native 4x3. So it's the same sensor as the Micro V2, which should be the native 4x3 one off the top of my head. Let me just clip this back on. It is a little bit fussy to get in. It's Tweet FPV Bot Grinder. Hello, my friend. How are you? I'm just trying to put this VTX back together before we move on. Oh, I'll do that in a minute off stream. I'll do that in a minute. We'll hop over to the new VRX module. Chris, 16x9 with the 4. I thought the micro V2 was native 4x3. I thought the Nano was native 16x9. The micro V3, the V2 was native 4x3. I thought 16x9 centimeter 4x3 readout and 60x9 mount aligned to crop 4x3 readout. Okay, so the second thing to show you guys quickly is this. The new HDZero VRX module. Let's zoom out a little bit so we can see it. We have the amazing bot grinder. If you haven't seen, please do check out his review of the new Commando 8 radio. It is fantastic. And I can exclusively confirm now, whilst the man is in the chat, that my mom will be releasing her review of the Commando 8 in the next 7 days. So that is an exclusive. It is going to be happening, and my mom will be doing it, and you will be seeing her telling you exactly what she thinks about it. I love Julia. I was impressed with how bot grinder, oh yeah, I'm definitely a woman. If there's any comment, I am definitely a whinging old hag. That is for sure. Okay. That is 100% accurate. But even the bot grinder, he's been using some special effects. He actually vanished and reappeared in the middle of a film, not in the middle of a film. Your review did suck, but that's what made it great. I don't have a Commando 8, so I can't review it. Although I'm going to send iFlight an email to send me one because Bot Grinder said I need to review it. So I am going to send iFlight an email saying Bot Grinder said to come to my channel to see the review, and I haven't got one. So can you send me one, please? So yes, that's what I'm going to do. 36 hours to render. 354 in supplies. I did. He's been using all sorts of special effects. He really has. Right. Let me just get through this quickly. Okay, guys. So, the new VRX module. Massive box. The reason it's a massive box is there's two parts to it. We have some stickers. We have the new module, which is now all black. Yay! We have 4 antennas. The same connector on the top. Same looking back, ports on the bottom, firmware, UART for backpack support, HDMI, micro SD card, everything you need to know. Biggest difference between this and the other one is basically there's no built-in patch antennas, so you attach all 4. It now has built-in microphone for local audio recording on the DVR, and it has the real-time clock built in, so that means it will be able to save the DVR recordings with the correct time and date. That is the biggest change on this. It's not an upgrade, it's not an improvement, it is just a new one that's available. It does have the rail mounts on the front as well. Available too. The other big change on this one, and I'll just mention it quickly, is the power cable. The power input on this is, I think it's 2 to 6S off the top of my head. But there is no back in the power cable. This is a straight through power cable that's included with this. It takes battery voltage straight to the module. So do take that into account compared to the other one. Size-wise, it's basically the same. It's virtually identical. No built-in patches. Look at it on the top. You can see it is a little bit deeper. I think it's like a mil deeper when you look at it. But overall, it pretty much is the same. The Sharkbite module does look a little bit better. I would agree with that. A little bit, plastics are a little bit better on the Fat Shark, but that's about the difference. You know, it's available. It's out there. It's that simple. It really is. It does have higher power usage as well, but we'll talk about that in the review. So yeah, a very good piece of kit indeed. You're going to be able to run all 4 antennas. Just make sure if you are using this, you do put all 4 antennas on. I'm not saying that because Botgrind is in the chat. It's just something I'm saying it anyway. It does make a difference on this thing. Probably cost you $50 in antennas though. But I have Orcas that use the micro HDMI. They are a pain. Are you still flying the pilots? But are you still flying the pilots? Which wall you will throw it at yet? V2s, yeah, nice. Not bad goggle. I preferred the Sky Zone. I did prefer the Sky Zone, but I really did like the Orcas. Have you seen the new event VRX? Yes. I've known a bit about this on and off for some time. The new event VRX is coming. It has 4 receivers built in, so 4 analog and 4 digitals, HDZeros. Has de-interlacing built in as well. 2 antennas. It will allow up to 4 outputs at the same time, so you can't do 8 outputs. It's either analog or digital on each channel, basically. But it's got all of Carl's special sauce for the analog. I saw a picture around today. Did someone know where that picture came from? Because I haven't seen. I don't know where that picture came from. I really don't. But I did see there was a picture posted. Was it at a race today? It's been used. I probably should look on the HDZero Facebook page. The event VRX. Let me just go on Carl. Someone might have posted it on the group. Oh, it might have been from Ryan. Carl is one of genuinely the nicest and open people I have had the pleasure of talking to. And I'll be honest, we spoke for about another 35, 40 minutes off air, which I stopped recording. So the way I did that interview was we had a quick chat beforehand. And I'll be honest, right, nothing was prepared on that. I had some stuff in my head, which I wanted to talk about, but we really didn't prepare anything. But he literally said, don't worry about asking anything. Just ask whatever you want. I don't care. I'll talk about it. That was about the dealers, about the Fat Shark thing. But we did have a really long chat afterwards. But what I said to him was, once I said, I've stopped recording. It's done. And we had a nice off-the-record chat as well. And we talked about a lot of stuff. And he is genuinely one of the nicest people. But also, it is really hard to not get emotionally involved in what he wants to do, because he genuinely wants to make this happen. And it's really hard. I can see why a number of people have come out to bat for Carl very, very hard. And as someone who always wants to remain independent, that was really hard for me to not want to say, you know what, I want to push this system as much as I can. And I will always treat them all the same. I will always try to be as open and as honest as I can. But he is such a nice guy. He really, really is. And, you know, you want the little guy to win. You really do. Can I use my HD originals? You can. Orca, they've got HDMI input. You can use them. The Orca HDMI placement is in a stupid place. There is a good cable bot grinder you can get off Banggood or AliExpress. If you go on the HDZero group or the Orca group, someone has posted it. It's a flat one. You're going to need the adapter as well. Surely you know someone with a 3D printer, they can do that for you. Or you got one, I don't know. I'm guessing you might have one yourself. If you haven't, if you want me to send you them, I'll send you over to the US if you want. If you want a bracket, reach out, I'll send it, but it might take a while. The VRX uses all the SMAs to make the picture. HDMI ribbon cable. Yeah, it's a HDMI ribbon, which is the best option on the Orca. It's just a bit tidier, apparently. Brandon Beans, hello, my friend. How are you? Yes, there is no Well, no, actually, the new Fat Shark, no, that's not correct. They have HDMI output. The Fat Sharks have HDMI output over USB-C. That has been confirmed. Bot grinder, you know what? I would welcome the... I have actually got a plan to get Bruce on one, and I would welcome the bot any time at all. In fact, Bruce, do you fancy doing next Sunday? I need to talk to you about it, but do you fancy doing next Sunday? Any word on the DJ Margarine hack? Nothing really. There's a lot of work going on in the background. No HDMI input on the Fat Sharks, no. Support 1080p. Right, okay. So, the Fat Shark goggles... I'll come on yours, mate. No problem at all. Anytime, any place. HDZero support 1080p. So, HDZero currently 720p 60. Carl has said the current system can do 1080p 30, but he hasn't implemented it. I don't know if we'll see that in the current system. Stream trades. It would be nothing short of a privilege, my friend. It really would. It really would. I am blown away. We've got 235 people. We had nearly 400 on last week's stream. That was bonkers. Bonkers. That would be great. We need RF Frequency 101 every week. Greg seems very shifty. I would rather support HDZero. Actually, this is a nice subject for me to wrap this up on, actually, as well, on all of this. It's been a weird week for people who work for companies talking. We had Greg's initial interview and then the full interview. And then we had Rotor Riot's comments with Drew. And look, some of this... He paid for a super chat just to say Google take 30% of it. The man is amazing. Mate, please, I don't deserve it. It's I've typed Greg, but yeah, there's been a lot of comments and stuff said. Okay, I called Drew out in what I thought was quite a respectful way. I called a few out. I called a few other people out, but we shouldn't keep on these guys back. You know, okay, if they get something wrong, it's worth saying it, but I actually withdrew my post that I put on Drew's in the end because people were just using it to have a go at him, and it's not fair. It's not how I do things. I'll say if I'm not happy and I don't agree, and I think you're wrong, but it was like people start using it to go, yeah, you're a dick and all of this stuff, and it's like, that's not really how I do things. Okay, I do think this whole thing has been handled absolutely shockingly. But then again, let's look at this. They have got all of the FPV channels that I know, and I don't class myself as the ones who are in the know or the popular ones. I wouldn't class myself as a popular channel, but they've got us all talking about it. So, have they actually done something wrong? Because the reality is, all of this noise will fade away to nothing in a couple of weeks. Imagine it comes out, it's not a DJI chipset, and there's no DJI code. Everyone's going to be going, well, hey, we'll get involved in this. I think they, as in Rotor Riot, Fat Shark side of things, don't know. Do you know what I'm genuinely feeling? I doubt they don't know. Because it's a Walksnail system. I bet they don't know. I am the popular channel. I appreciate that. It's been a really good week on the channel, actually. I will say that. In all of this, I've tried to make sure I haven't been too clickbaity because it's very easy to be. The videos have had extortionate views. You know, some of the views we've had have been fantastic. I'm blown away, actually. The channel has grown insanely this year, to be honest. It really has. We were something like 170% up on views this a couple of days ago. I don't even know what it is today. I've not even looked. It's been high. Let me just find it. I don't watch it that much. I don't watch the analytics. I try not, because the great analytic can giveth and the great analytic can taketh as well. And, you know, where are we? Yeah, at the moment, we're about 133% up, which is amazing. It's unbelievable. You know what I mean? It really is. Unbelievable, unbelievable. Someone asked just now, I'll answer that question because I have spoke about money before. Publicity, but someone asked, do live streams make money? No, not really. Do YouTube streams generate revenue? Yes, through super chats, through the amazing people who've donated, because we've had another one from Martin Wine, which says, exciting times for FPV, great work, more people than JB at times today. More people than JB at times today. Absolutely fantastic. What I found, I've been live streaming for over 2 years, I think we must have. When did we start the streams? Do you know, that's worth a look. When did I actually start the live streams? I can't remember. I really can't. And what the lives have done, what I can say is the lives have built a much better community than I had before. So this starts back. Was it only in November last year I started live streaming? Is it only since then? I thought I was streaming longer than that. But then again, when you're doing it weekly, it's soon... No, that can't be right. I must have had more before that. I was taking them offline for a bit as well. Playlists. How many is in the live playlist? Now, all of my live streams go into the playlist. There's 29. So that's 29 weeks. That's less than a year. Wow. I had moved them, didn't I? That is... Yeah. Oh, no. I had the separate channel, though. I don't know if you guys don't know, but I have a separate live stream channel. And I started and stopped because it wasn't working. And then I brought the weekly live stream to here. And then we started it in November. And since then, we've seen a real improvement in it. Mads Tech is a technical channel. Amber the Hams, don't make money again. I do. Thank you, Amber the Ham. If I keep saying it, people will pay. Is that how it's going to work? Is there a possibility for an open source DJ compatible VRX to be developed because of FPV? Anything is possible, Elijah. Anything is possible. There is some stuff some people are looking at on this. Anything is possible. Sorry, I meant Maztec as a technical channel. Thank you, mate. YouTube live streams on the other channel. Yes, I had the live streams on the other channel. So we did it on there. So, you know, live streams have really just helped bring in a community, and it's we want merch. Yeah, that's an awkward subject. That we have the ruler, which I've got a new batch that I'm ready to get out to the guys who've already paid. There's been some delays on that. Okay, I'll give you guys a bit of an update on the ruler. The problem I have with the ruler is getting it out. So the ruler is it was a nightmare and then I came back. Yeah, that was right. The ruler is amazing. It is way too much. I'll show you. For those who haven't seen, let me show you one. Because there's a lot of you here. Right, I created something. For those who didn't see, we created this. Okay? So this was the Mads Tech PCB FPV ruler, which has a lot of different bits of information on, which I'll show you up close now in a second. Okay? So this was designed to be a piece of merch to ship out on the channel to allow people to buy. It wasn't going to be cheap, but it was going to be available as a way to generate income for the channel. If I go to the overhead, I just want to show you how this looks and what it is. So this is one of the ones I wasn't quite happy with. There's a bit of marks on this one. If you see there's some marks on the black. But this ruler, let me get in a bit more. So you can see we have the Mads Tech ruler. We have DBIRF conversion. We have frequency and channels for DJI, all of the usual suspects. Some info on Express LRS, Crossfire, Immersion RC Ghost, common LiPo voltages, landing voltages, recommended landing voltages, random ones. We've got motor and prop size chart, as well as some info on a brushless motor telling you about, you know, what the diameter means. And then you've got an AWG chart down the side for wiring, as well as a thread chart for M2 or M4. Now, whilst the front looks really nice, right, and it is done in the gold leaf on the copper, the back is the real superstar in this, I'll be honest, right? So, on the back, and this side just looks unbelievable. I will say it. I will say it myself. So, we have pinout for Happy Model EP1 and the Express LRS receivers. Pinout for Tracer Crossfire. Pinout for HDZero. Pinout for DJI. Pinout for DJI Vista. We have the hack for DJI, how to do it. We have recommended capacitor stuff. We have STM32 info for the flight controllers, how many UARTs and stuff. The stick, common stick menus. And down here was a camera angle chart. Now, this is really hard to show you guys. I'm going to have to get up closer to show you. 1 second. I have a motorized desk, so I can cheat this. But I'm going to have to stand up. And I'm going to have to focus. Here we go. Yeah, that's the only problem. Some of the stuff will be discontinued. I agree with that. But then you have the camera angle chart as well, which has some abuse on it that I wrote too. But that just gives you an idea of what it looks like in the gold. And there's lots of other stuff on you. There is some stuff out of date as well. Not out of date, but you got the new VTX, which isn't listed here. There is also little bits all over this. So when I wrote it, along the top, right, a LiPo battery is made up of multiple cells. Each cell telling you the individual voltages, how a LiPo battery is made up. Down here, telling you best soldering iron temperatures for average use. Hot air temperatures as well. Down here, battery voltage, number of state, and it is there was literally stuff all over this that I made. Now, I'll be honest, it does look very nice. I was extremely happy. Although this batch I wasn't quite happy with. I don't know if you can see there's some marks on the black, unfortunately. But that gives you an idea of what it looks like. Now I'm going to have to put this down before turning the camera back on. Ooh. There we go. So, some of these have gone out. There's some people who've got one. The batch is here. I was less happy with this batch than I was the first batch. The problem is, and this is the problem, a PCB isn't designed to be perfect. The printing isn't designed to be perfect. So there is the odd mark and issue on the boards, and that's the bit I've been unhappy about. Gotta go. Stay safe, Bruce. Look after yourself, my friend. I'll be ending this one soon. You get some looks with that in your pocket. But overall, yeah. That's it. It's very handy. I'm going to be shipping. There's some more. I will be putting a message to all of the Patreons. First, the Patreons get first dibs. I'm sorry, guys, but that's what the original agreement was. I've only got a small batch here, and I am then looking at getting a bigger batch. The only problem I have is literally the work involved in packaging, posting, and sending is massive. It's much bigger than I realized. I'll be honest. That's the problem. The work in doing that is much bigger than I realized. It's, I'm having to make boxes to fit, trying to find off the shelf cartons. Something I need to investigate is finding a way of having these made and distributed outside of me doing it, is what I need to figure out. That's the basic rule. I need to figure out a way of doing that, basically. So, no. Right, guys. We're going to give it a few more minutes. We've gone past the hour and a half. If you've got any more questions, please do put them in the chat. Doug McLeod, I'm hesitant to switch to digital goggles as none of them have a module bay like analog. Perhaps killer feature HDZero and add Carl. Well, they're going to have an external bay that goes on the side, but it's not going to be full clean, tidy, super. Whatever you do, don't show it to Banggood. New name and channel, best free editor anyone. Make it like a roll-up tape measure. Orca HD. I mentioned that one earlier, Chris. My comment on Orca HD. Has anyone talked to Steve Mann lately? No. DaVinci Resolve is what I use. OLED ruler screen. Yeah, just an OLED display. Motor going to 100% on black box. Quad flips yours after sudden hard backflip. Dead motor. Is the motor behaving normally as you would expect? It's always hard to test a motor. Does it? If the motor's dead, it won't work. The motor is just a coil of wire. Okay, so a motor is a very mechanical device. So it's coils of wire. It either works or it doesn't. Okay, you have bearing issues, all of that stuff as well. However, you do have very limited amounts of things that can go wrong. It either works or it doesn't. If you're getting strange behavior, so if the motor feels fine, first of all, how's the motor feel? Graty, grindy. If it feels good, bell's not hanging off it. Does it turn normally at idle? If it does, the motor's probably fine. It'll then be ESC. It does the bear after performance flip. It won't be the motor. So unlikely to be the motor. Dodgy gyro chip or ESC. Yeah. Motors basically work or they don't. The easiest thing with a motor, it's just a coil of wire. Peppermint, do you want to forward it to me? I wouldn't mind reaching out myself after that stream. Ah, there he is. Good. You still haven't reached out to me. My email. Send me an email. Wire over the gyro. Could be. Could be a wire over the gyro. Could be something like that. It'll be board related, ESC related. Motors just work or they don't. It's just coils of wire. That's the easiest thing to remember with a motor. People get awfully confused on motors and stuff. It's just a coil of wire with a couple of bearings. That's all it is. That's all it is. Right, guys. On that one, I'm going to wrap this one up. I want to thank you all for spending some time with me again on a Sunday night. I really want to say a massive, massive thank you to everyone who has used the super chat option, especially everyone who supported the channel in every other way as well, via the Patreon, via everything. I really do want to say a massive thank you for all of the support, the help, the guidance, as well as the kind comments and the bad comments as well. I welcome them all. Stay safe. Look after yourselves. I'll be back same time, same place next week. And I will speak to you guys soon. When I know about the AMA with JB and Mr. Rosser, I will be putting it up on the community page. So keep an eye out for it. As soon as it's confirmed, I will put it up on the channel. Next Saturday, we haven't 100% confirmed the time and date yet, but it will be on Reddit. And we will be talking about all of this a lot more. Stay safe, guys. And I will speak to you guys again soon.